Hey everyone, let's take a look at adding two vectors together. So I've drawn out a couple of vectors over here. Here's your XY coordinate system, and I've drawn vector A, and I've made it 37 degrees with respect to the positive x-axis, and it has a length of 30. Remember we talked about the 37 degrees in a previous video. That makes for a 3, 4, 5 triangle, which will make my mathematics actually pretty easy. And then vector B, and I've actually written it 23 degrees with respect to the positive y-axis. I want to be careful about this, and I did this on purpose because there are a lot of problems where angles are given with respect to axes other than the positive x. So we want to take a look at that here in just a little bit. And it's got a length of 26. I haven't designated any units on those. I hadn't actually measured them out. Okay, so I want to add these two vectors together. So I want to add A plus B. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. What is the angle A, or what is the vector A plus B? So let's designate A first. So A, vector A, it's got a length of 30. So it's going to be 30 times the cosine of 37 degrees. That's going to be this side right here, right? And that's going to be along the x-axis, so that's multiplied by the I unit vector. And then we add to that the vertical part, that's over here, and that's going to be 30 sine 37 degrees, and that's times j hat. Okay, well keep in mind this is a 3, 4, 5 triangle, right? And so the cosine of 37 degrees is 4 over 5, or 0.8. So this is going to be 24i, and then 0.6 times 30 is going to be 18j. And so there's A. There's A written out in component format. And then B is a length of 26, and this is 23 degrees. And so the x component is actually here. I could draw it up there as well. And I would be wanting this angle, but I'm given this angle right here. So this is going to be 26 sine 23 degrees. And that's in the I hat direction, but it's to the left, so that's negative. And then this side, that's adjacent to the 23 degrees, so plus 26 cosine 23 degrees j hat. That's just looking at the triangle that I've written out. So what I'm trying to get to you is that this isn't always cosine in the x direction, this isn't always sine in the y direction. The standard designation is that way, yes, but that's not always the way it's given. If this was written in standard format, I wouldn't have told you 23 degrees, I'd have told you 113 degrees. And so this would equal 26 cosine of 113 degrees, I hat, plus 26 sine 113 degrees, j hat. Okay, and that is your standard notation. But again, the problem wasn't given, and a lot of problems in books are not given with respect to the positive x-axis. They're given with respect to some other vector direction. Usually it's the xy coordinate system, but even then that's not always the case. We'll talk about that in a later video. Okay, so you got to use your brains, like what is the angle that I'm given, and is that the positive x-axis? If it isn't, either make it the positive x-axis, which is what I did on this line, or use the angle, but keep in mind your cosines and sines and your SIGNs, right? It's going to be left in the x direction, so make that a negative number. Okay, well 23 degrees is part of a 5, 12, 13 triangle. Right, this is 23 degrees, this is 5, 12, and 13, okay? It's actually 22.6 degrees, but let's not get into it in too much detail. Even that's not exact, right? So the sine of 23 degrees is 5 over 13. If I multiply that by 26, I'm going to get 10. And that's negative. The cosine of 113, let's see, so the cosine of 113, you're going to use that's actually going to use this angle as its complement, right? And then that's going to still be 5 over 13, but it's going to be negative. Okay, so this is, in either scenario, you're going to get negative 10 here. And then 12 over 13, I'm going to get 24 in the j hat direction. Okay, I'm going to get 24 in the j hat direction. Okay, so when I add a and b, I'm going to add 24i plus 18j with negative 10i plus 24j. And when I add numbers together like this, we were taught in algebra, you combine like terms. Well, you can think of the i's and j's like x's and y's or a's and b's. If this was 24a and negative 10a, you would combine those because they're both a's. And so this would be 24 plus negative 10 times I hat plus 18 plus 24 times j hat. And so I get 14 I hat plus 42 j hat. And so the combination of these two vectors, I can do this graphically, right? I can draw out this side and this side, and the combination of the two vectors is that. And just using my drawing, that's about 14 in this direction and 42 in that direction. It's not the best of drawings, but you get the idea. So this is in agreement with the drawing. If I drew it precisely, it would be a better one. But okay, so that's how you add two vectors together using components. Right? That's how you add two vectors together using components. And we'll find some other ways of doing that when we get onto the computers and calculators. All right, so there's a summation of vectors. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you.